I bought a few items from the new Emma Roberts x Kiko Milano signature collection. I went into store and picked out the things that I thought were most interesting. I'm gonna try them out with you today. I'm gonna do a look, I'm gonna show you swatches, close-ups, and I'm gonna share my first impression thoughts. So let's get into it. Alright, so to start, I think this collection is very well executed. I love the packaging. I think we have some really fun colors in the different products that we have. We have a bigger nude eyeshadow palette that I'm very interested in. So let's start with that. So this is the Emma Roberts x Kiko Milano eyeshadow palette, and this is called the Nudinfinity eyeshadow palette. So we have 16 colors, and I feel like the way this is laid out makes a lot of sense. I believe this was like 35 euros, which is not super affordable, but I do feel like you get a lot here. I feel like here it makes more sense, the price, than the price that we saw, for example, with the Valentine's collection eyeshadow palette, because there you had less product, less options, less different shades. So this is really laid out in rows, especially like the first 3 rows are kind of like mauve, cool tone browns, more neutral browns, and then at the bottom we have kind of like your extra like drama. We have a really warm reddish brown, we have a black there as well to deepen things up. This palette really goes from light to deep. I feel like in a way maybe we have maybe a little bit too many beige shades. It kind of depends how different they will look on the eyes. The shimmers in this palette feel really creamy. There are some different textures, but they definitely feel extremely creamy, almost like, is it a cream eyeshadow? I feel like that is something that we've been seeing with Kiko Milano limited edition palettes. Also something that I want to note. Usually with Kiko Milano, they kind of have this very powdery, pigmented, but powdery matte eyeshadow formula. Here I kind of feel like they are pressed a little bit harder in the pan. I feel like the swatches weren't as impressive from the mattes as we sometimes see with Kiko Milano, but I kind of feel like these might be a little bit easier to work with than the very powdery formula that we often see. All right, let me zoom you in. We're gonna do an eye look. All right, I'm already wearing some eye primer. I used the Revolution Ultimate Eyeshadow Primer. I'm still reviewing that one. I still don't know if it's gonna be something that truly works with me, but eyeshadow hasn't creased yet while wearing it, so there's hope. I am also wearing a little bit of a skin tint, a little bit of concealer to just even out the skin, and because I didn't buy that type of product from this collection, I really am interested from this palette to get kind of like in these cooler tone mauves. So I think I'm gonna like stay in this region for this look. I am gonna start out with this second shade over here, and I'm just gonna apply that in the crease. I'm taking a Sigma E25, and I'm really curious to see how pigmented this palette is, and I find the concept of having slightly more dense shades that are harder pressed in the pan, I find it interesting. Okay, this is looking pretty good. Kind of hoping this can be like a staple nude palette. I kind of feel like that is the point behind it with the different undertones. This is looking good. Definitely not powdery in the pan. Like, there is a slight bit of kick up, but it's nothing like what usually happens with Kiko Milano. I do kind of wish that Kiko Milano would be a little bit more constant with their eyeshadow formula. That would make my life, and I think a lot of people's lives, a little bit more easy. Like, sometimes they have such good eyeshadow formulas that it's actually crazy. Okay, I'm gonna go into this shade, this kind of like cooler toned chocolatey brown. I'm gonna grab a small brush, and this is the moment of truth. This one is a little bit more powdery, I must say. Let's see if we can get an impactful look with this. I just don't like it when eyeshadow is super wishy-washy. Like, it looks like a wash of color. I don't feel like that suits me. Starting out soft, honestly. It's starting out pretty soft. Like, it's blending, definitely, but it's a buildable eyeshadow. And the more I'm using it, the more I'm like putting my brush in the pan, the more I'm realizing that this is a pretty powdery shade. I kind of wish this had a little bit more pigment. I feel like this is gonna work. It's gonna work, but it's a little soft. Like, I do see the dimension, but I kind of feel like it was a little bit more like packed with pigment. I feel like this is gonna be a very beginner friendly eyeshadow palette if you're not super experienced with eyeshadow. Okay, I think for the shimmer, the first shimmer, I kind of want to try this shade. It's not as mauvey, but I kind of feel like it would go with what I have going on right now. So I'm gonna start out with that, and I'm gonna take that on my finger. It's just so emollient, so creamy. It does look very beautiful. Like, all of these shimmers swatch really beautifully, but it's like a very creamy formula. But it's like a very creamy formula. Ooh, that is emphasizing a little bit of texture on my lids. There's a shimmer to it, and it's just looking a little bit textured. I usually don't really have that problem because I don't really have a lot of texture on my lids. But yeah, it's emphasizing a little bit of that. But it's a beautiful shimmer besides that. I think it might be because of the putty, creamy formula. It is really beautiful. I do feel like the mauves turned out kind of brown. And this whole look is kind of turning out a little bit more brown than I was thinking. So that's why we can easily just throw in a brown shimmer as well. And then I really want to try this shimmer. This one seemed pretty textured. Very creamy as well. But like, that is what that one looks like. I'm just gonna put it in my inner corner, and it's kind of silvery, but it's kind of like a silvery taupey shimmer. I almost wouldn't have guessed. I don't think it turns out as pinky as I would maybe expect from looking at it in the pan, but I think it's kind of like the row that it is placed in that makes me think that this is gonna be more pinky, but it's not really pink. Okay, that one is really beautiful. I don't know if these are gonna crease on my eyes. I do feel like they emphasize a lot of texture, and I'm not really used to that from Kiko Milano. Like, you can kind of like spread the shimmer out a little further, and then it's not as like textured looking, but it definitely has something a little bit textured to it, like texture emphasizing to it. All right, I really want to try one of the lighter mattes in the inner corner, see if it's pigmented enough. I'm gonna go with the light pink one, and this, I think it's pretty important that if you have so many beiges that they actually work in your inner corner. Okay, this is quite nice. It's not super pigmented like the darker mattes as well. Like, it's not a bam in your face pigment. Yeah, it's kind of soft, but I don't know. It does give me some brightness, but it's nothing too overly bright. I'm also gonna grab a little bit of this kind of like a dark plum shade, and I'm gonna use a bit of that in the outer corner as well, just to see what this does for me, and if I like the look a little bit more with that, if it gives me some contrast. Oh, I quite like that. I think that's quite nice. I don't know, there's just something about these mattes where they just still seem almost a little bit see-through. I do really like this color. Gonna go back in with that first brush to blend. I do like it more now that I have that darker shade in the outer corner. I think now it's kind of coming together. It's looking better, but I don't know if this palette has my personal favorite formula. I do feel like the shimmers are looking a little bit textured now than they did just a few minutes ago. I'm just gonna do the same on the lower lash line as I did in the crease. I'm gonna put on some mascara, and then I'll be back for the other products. Okay, the eye look is done. The hair is clipped back. I do think the eye look is looking quite cute. I like it, but I do feel like Kiko can do amazing eyeshadows. And I'm not entirely sure yet if I feel like this is part of that category. I think I have to try it out a little bit more to really see. Okay, I have a bronzer from this collection. This is the Emma Roberts x Kiko Milano Glow Sculpt Liquid Bronzer. And I got it in the shade 01 Sunlit Sand. The second shade looked a little bit more cool toned, but it also looked like it might be something that looks a little bit patchy and blotchy on a skin tone like mine. I'm fair to light, so I was a little scared to grab that, even though the undertone, it seemed like it might be a little bit better for me. We have the kind of like sponge tip applicator, so we're gonna see if I'm gonna like this undertone on me, because this one did look a little bit warmer. We have 3 different shades in this line. I do feel like it's looking a little warm, and I kind of feel like I'm applying quite a little bit with that sponge applicator. So we're gonna see if like this is enough. It's very thin, it's very serum like. As I was swatching it, it was also feeling very, very thin, and it doesn't really have a lot of like creaminess to it. It's more like liquidy. I kind of like it. It's very natural. Of course, I bought the lightest shade, and I feel like this lightest shade is gonna work for kind of like more fair people with a neutral to warm undertone. I feel like this is blending really easily, but also because it's so subtle, it is fully dried down, but I did have, I feel like, enough time to like play with it, but it almost feels like I applied nothing. So I'm gonna try and build that up a little bit. I just feel like the sponge applicator is a little awkward, like a little bit awkward. I just feel like I need more product, but if you're really fair, this could be the bronzer for you. I do really like the color as it's blended out. I do feel like it's matching my skin tone, but yeah, this is gonna be a subtle one for me. It's not gonna be one where I really can build it up, get a super bronze look. Also because it's just like, how much product would you have to apply? It's just a very sheer natural bronze. I kind of like the 2 layers, but I kind of wish that we had just a like doe foot applicator. I feel like that would have been a little bit easier to just take a little bit more product. It's just you can only take a little bit, and then it's very lightly pigmented. But it does have a really nice natural finish. I'm kind of enjoying it. I'm kind of liking it. Like sometimes I am looking for a product like this. Like sometimes this is exactly what I'm looking for. I feel like it looks pretty good on me. I have a neutral to cool undertone, and I think this is working for me. Okay, I quickly did my brows. The next product that I want to try in this video is the Emma Roberts x Kiko Milano Blush Bodies Lips and Cheeks palette. I got the shade Cherry on Top. I really like the packaging of this, like the waves, the gradient. It's looking really cute, and I really like the red shade that they chose for this. There are 3 colorways in this blush duo. I decided to go with the most cool tone one. I do have to say that this berry shade probably is not gonna work on my cheeks. I think it's gonna be too dark because these are really creamy, very pigmented. There is a kind of thickness to this formula. I feel like it's gonna be one where you have to kind of be careful not to use too much, not to over apply. I'm gonna use that berry one on the lips, I think. This pink one is more of a blush shade for me, but the other ones really weren't my shades, so this was the closest one. It would have been absolutely perfect for me if this one was a shade that I could also use on the cheeks, but I think this could be nice on the lips as well because it feels a little bit more like substantial and thick, and I just feel like sometimes these lip and cheek products are a little bit too thin, at least for me on my lips, because I feel like really thin lip products, they just really dry out my dry lips. Okay, so I'm gonna grab this slanted brush by Made by Mitchell, and I'm just gonna grab a little bit from the pink and just see how that applies. It's so pigmented. It's really so pigmented. I took the tiniest bit. Is it looking nice and blurry and has a natural glow? Yes, but I took a tiny bit, so be aware. This is not for the faint of heart. That is very pigmented. I don't think I'm gonna try and put the berry shade on my cheeks. This is really beautiful. This is lovely. It looks amazing. I love the glow. It's not sticky, but yeah, a little goes a long way. I just dipped in once now, once. I didn't swipe, I didn't do anything. I just dipped, and this is what I get. So if you're someone with a deeper skin tone, this could be really lovely for you, because I do think this is easily gonna show up on deeper skin tones. That is really, really beautiful. Really nice. I think this is gonna make for a lovely lip product. I just have a good feeling about that. By the way, there's no highlighter in this collection. This blush has a little bit of a natural glow, but it's definitely nothing too like Lush Lighter-esque. It just looks healthy. It just looks like skin. This is really, really nice. Oh, that's really, really nice. If I liked the other colors, I would consider picking them up. But I don't think they were really for me, except maybe for like a bronzer. I'm gonna be in a Kiko store again this weekend, and I am definitely gonna have a look again at the collection after doing this video. This is beautiful. This is absolutely beautiful. I love the way this is looking on my skin. That's gorgeous. Okay, now I basically only have some lip products to try. I'm gonna take this out of my hair and hope for the best. I can never just take clips out of my hair without pulling my hair. Okay, we're back. The hair is back. Okay, I really want to try this. I really want to try this berry on the lips. I just really want to see what that looks like. I'm gonna start by applying this with my finger. It's so pigmented and it's so creamy. Okay, I don't think I can talk and apply. That is like as pigmented as a lipstick. Feels velvety. It feels like it is drying down on my lips and it's feeling really thin. I think this could create a really nice kind of like stained effect. I think if I didn't have any other lip products to try in this video and I wouldn't take this off, I would probably apply a lip liner and apply maybe a little bit of a gloss on top, and I think that would be a really nice lip look. I think on its own this is gonna behave kind of like a lip stain, but I feel like that would be a little bit too dry. Like it's very lightweight, very thin on my lips. I think it would be a little bit too dry, but there's a lot of potential here because it's looking really smooth. There is a slight velvety sheen to it. I think this could be part of a beautiful lip combo. I could maybe try and build this up to see how that feels. It's really easy to apply with a finger, but I could also apply this with a lip brush. This is just, it's really nice. Still feels really thin. I think it's gonna be a very creamy product that's gonna stay thin and gonna dry down. And I think a lot of people would probably love that on the lips. I think that's also why it works so well on the cheeks, because it's not fully dried down. I think this would be a really nice product for both the cheeks and the lips. You don't see that a lot. Oftentimes, it's just the cheeks, just the lips. So I think this is really nice. I'm definitely gonna test these out on the lips a little bit more. I see a lot of potential. I think this could be really fun. Okay, I'm gonna take this off and we're gonna try the next lip product. So next up for the lips, I have here the Emma Roberts x Kiko Milano Juicy Kiss Lip Stylo, and I got it in shade 02. This was something pink, like cotton candy pink or something like that. And I really love a sheer shiny lipstick, and I really love a pink lipstick, so this really caught my attention. I'm very excited about this one. So it's smelling kind of like floral powdery, kind of an interesting scent. I don't know if I love that, but I do feel like this is one of the typical scents that Kiko Milano does a lot. Feels very creamy. It feels a little bit more like a cream lipstick than an actual like gloss in a stick. Like it's a cream lipstick that is a little bit more shiny. It doesn't really have the look and feel of a like jelly lip product to me. I do feel like it's looking pretty cute. It's sitting in my lip lines a little bit. I feel like this with a lip liner could be quite nice. It is quite thin. It doesn't feel like it would be super hydrating. It doesn't feel super grippy to the lips. It is definitely a thinner lip product, but I don't feel like it's too thin that it would be like dehydrating or drying out my lips. Like it's a thinner, creamy feel. Yeah, I think I kind of like it. I kind of like it. The more it sits on my lips, the longer it sits on my lips, the more I'm actually liking it. And I feel like it's kind of like meshing with my lips in quite a nice way. It almost has something a little bit like tinted lip balm-esque to it. So this is it up close. I think I could like this one. I think this one has potential, but it's definitely the kind of lip product that kind of like sits on the lips a little bit as you just apply it, and then it kind of like melts in and starts looking better. I quite like this one. I do feel like this is different than, for example, the Gloss Supreme Juicy Lip Stylus. I don't know exactly what the name was of those, but those Gloss Supreme ones are a little bit more sheer and jelly. This one has a little bit more of a tint to it. It's a little bit more creamy. And then lastly, in this collection, we have 8 new shades of Unlimited Double Touch. So these are limited edition shades. There was a line of them last year, also with Emma Roberts. I didn't love those. There were like 2 shades that I quite liked, but a lot of them were kind of like thin and unpigmented and looked a little weird on the lips. So I got from this year's range the shade 02 Nude Bloom. This one seemed one of the more pigmented ones from this year. I did put a poll in my community tab asking if you wanted to see me swatch all shades. I feel like the formulas weren't all looking good enough to be doing that, because I do want to like enjoy the products that I lip swatch. So I'm just gonna be trying this one today. I might buy another shade later. We'll see. I do feel overall like this is a great formula. I've talked about it before in favorites videos, but I do feel like sometimes they're just a little bit thin and watery and look uneven on the lips. So we're gonna see which version of this formula this is gonna be. I do really like the look of this shade. It's looking like a really nice neutral tone. I don't feel like this is full pigment. Like, it seems a little bit sheer. It's a really nice color. And maybe I can get away with it because it's pretty similar to my lip color. Okay, so this is a liquid lipstick that turns sticky as it dries, if you're not familiar with it. And then you put on the gloss side and then it lasts long but also feels comfortable, if you're not familiar with the Unlimited Double Touch. There are a lot of shades of this one in the regular range as well. I feel like this is looking quite good. I'm gonna put on the gloss because talking like this is very awkward. So let's see. I really love the gloss on these. It's very nourishing. Alright, so this is with the gloss on top. I think this is a good one for me. I really like the shade. I feel like it's a little bit on the sheerer side, but it's not too sheer. And I feel like one layer is looking just right on me. It's just a little bit of a rosy nude. I feel kind of like a rosy brownie nude. Has something almost a little bit mauve to it. I feel like it matches the eye look very well. I feel like the blush is a little bit like bright and cool toned for the rest of the look. I'm actually quite liking this shade. Alright, so this is gonna be the finished look. I actually quite like how it came out. And I feel like there are going to be some favorites in this range. Okay, so let's start with the eyeshadow palette. I feel like this is a pretty cute eyeshadow palette. I quite like the look that I got with it. I don't feel like it's looking as textured on the lids as it did when I first applied these shimmers. I actually think the shimmers are looking good. We're going to see if they're going to crease. The mattes I feel like are a little hard pressed, but maybe like a little bit of pigment because of that. I feel like I could get quite a good look, but that's mostly because I use a really dark shade. I felt like using the lighter shades together, it was just a little bit too much of a wash of color for me personally. I do think this is probably going to be a pretty easy palette to use if you're a little bit scared of very pigmented shades, because it can be a little bit harder to work with. I think this is a cute palette. I'm liking it. The question is if I'm gonna love it in the end. Then we have the bronzer. The bronzer is very, very subtle. It is so subtle that I'm almost like, is it there? Do I see it? Should I have bought the darker shade? Should I have bought this second shade? I'm kind of like, maybe I should have, because it's so like blendable. It blends out so quickly. It's very sheer. It's very serum-like. It's very easy to use. I don't think you can really go wrong with this. And I do like the color, but it's very subtle. And I kind of think that the packaging doesn't really match the pigment levels and just the formula overall. I kind of feel like this could have been packaged a little differently, and they just kind of wanted to do something with the sponge tip applicator, but maybe it wasn't the exact right decision. Then I'm really excited about the blush and lip duo. I think the colors in here are really beautiful. I think this is going to be really fun on the lips. Love it on the cheeks. I feel like my cheeks are looking so good. I love how kind of like blurred and smooth they look. It's totally dried down, but it doesn't feel like too drying, and it just has a healthy glow to it. I just really love how this is making my cheeks look. I am very excited about this, and I'm gonna try these more on the lips as well. And then of course we have the Juicy Kiss Lip Stylo. I think this is pretty cute. I definitely have to try it a little bit more to really see how I feel. I think it is cute, but it wasn't like an instant favorite for me. But there's potential. Like this could still very much grow on me. And then of course we have the Unlimited Double Touch. I think this is a nice color. I'm liking it. And I think it's also looking good without a lip liner. I don't think this one really needs it. And I'm quite happy with this. I'm quite happy that I have a more nude shade in this range, because the other shade that I have and use more often is more of a darker mauve. So I think this is going to be one that I'm actually going to be reaching for quite a bit. And then lastly, something I always forget to mention, or often forget to mention, is the gift that you get with purchase. If you purchase 3 things, you actually get this makeup bag. This is the makeup bag from the collection, and this is actually a pretty cute makeup bag. It's in a nude shade from the collection with the red lettering, with the signature of Emma Roberts. And this is the type of makeup bag that you can actually set down as you open it. You can set it down on your vanity, and then it's gonna be really easy to just reach your stuff. This is really nice. I think this is one of the nicest products that they have given out with their products. I think this is a great item. Like, I'm definitely gonna be using this. There's a lot of space in this. You can really like lay it flat. I think that's great. And I actually really like that I have that in my life. And sometimes they just give things that I never really reach for again. All right, this is gonna be it for the Emma Roberts and Kiko Milano collection. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in my next one. Bye bye.